Hey, everybody, and welcome back to MOTIV8 UNPLUGGED. Thank you for tuning in with us today. Today, our topic of discussion is going to be millennial motherhood and self-care. And I have some wonderful, wonderful moms in the building with me today, and I'm going to let everybody go ahead and introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Brianna. I have one child, and he will be 2 this week.
Hi, I'm Sharita. I have 2 children, one who is 9 and another one who's turning 7 next month.
Hi, I'm Daneca. I have one child, a boy, and he is 4 years old.
That good old 4.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go on ahead and get into it. But before we go into it, I wanted to read something. I was looking up millennial motherhood and what, society has to say, about millennials. So we can define a millennial motherhood or moms who are born between the early 80s to the late 90s. We are the generation that grew up watching the technological age or modern media as we know it develop. So most of us were college degreed. We're older than previous first-time mothers. We're building careers or we already have thriving careers. And many of us are also entrepreneurs, CEOs, and just all around boss moms, okay? So in hearing that you add motherhood to the mix and it seems like, throwing self-care into that is pretty much non-existent, like non-existent. And so I want to talk about with being a mother, my first question is talking about how has your life changed the most? Starting from even finding out you were pregnant to that moment of actually getting into the swing of motherhood. How has your life changed the most?
So for me, I was in college, so my social life is gone. Like all my friends that I, was cool with, they are living, single, no kids. So now I'm just kind of sitting at home. I can't do the same things that they do, and I don't want to do the same things that they do because I have to come home and I have to wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning every day. So I don't want to hang out. I don't want to do anything. I'd rather sleep. So my social life is gone.
But that's crazy because you said I don't want to do
No.
a lot of those things because sometimes you still have moms who still want to do those things.
Right.
And that can be a very, very hard thing to maneuver and deal with, personally, that they can't. So that's powerful that you say, I don't even want to.
No.
I'm okay, having to go home and get my rest.
Yes.
Yeah, that's important. So any other...
I would say, I guess, my independence is like, now I have to worry about where's Christian going to go? Like, I got to do something with him. He's going to be with me, or just being around the house, like going to the bathroom, brushing my teeth, get myself dressed. I got to do all that for him first and then do it for myself. Yeah. And then he's just like, Mommy, I want more cereal. I want more this. And I'm just like, I just want to get myself together. So having that alone time, having that me time, having that just space just to think.
Yeah.
Without constantly going and constantly doing. And I feel like by the time he's asleep, I'm like, all right, so what didn't I do that I need to do, having that time. So I feel like I miss that.
Yeah.
Worrying about what I want to do today.
Yeah.
I think we had been married about a year before I found out I was pregnant. So for me, the biggest change was we went from just jumping up and doing date nights, going somewhere, to like, okay, well, we can't just jump up and go anywhere now because we have the baby. So where's the baby going? And then, you don't want to just leave your child, especially the first one, you're new to this. Who's going to keep them? And then how long? And it just becomes a different focus. So the focus, like we were saying, goes from ourselves and our relationship to this child is now priority number one.
Yep, that spontaneity.
Yes.
That was big for me also, and especially for Marcus and I. We did everything together. Like, we both are in the same field with music, and that's how we met. So we could spend all night, in the studio together or just up and go have those date nights. It was gone. And, I had a hard time adjusting because he could still just go.
Right.
And it was like, I'm left here, look, with the baby.
Yeah.
and you can still live your life. And so for me, that was very, very difficult with maneuvering and finding a groove with that new schedule and new life. I think is very, very difficult. And then when you add that millennial aspect into it, like for me, I had a difficult, I guess, conversation with my mom because she's like, you just need to be a stay-at-home mom.
Yes.
You know, just be a stay-at-home mom. And I'm like, I don't want to be a stay-at-home mom. Like, you did great. Like, you did amazing. I love you. Like, you raised 4 kids, you know. But for me, that has never been a desire. I've always wanted to be a mother, but not have that desire, you know, to be just a stay-at-home mom. And that's all I amount to, you know. So that was very difficult for me. Absolutely.
Yeah, and those conversations, like you're saying, you're having with your mom, not just about being a stay-at-home mom, but almost all the advice that, you know, you get from your mom. And in being a millennial, we have all of this extra information that we have access to. So, you know, now your mom is like, you need to give that baby a full course meal by the time they're 4 and you're 4 months. And you're like, well, no. And they're like, you read that stuff on the book. I had children. You know, so there's that kind of like, you know, it's a little bit different from when you were raising us, where now there's other things that I'm thinking about, other ideas and things I want to take into raising my child. And sometimes that doesn't gel with, you know, how your mom thinks that you should raise the kids. Like, well, I did it for y'all. You turned out fine.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you're not careful, it's almost like a hit at them. That's kind of how they take it.
Yeah.
Where, you know, you don't take in their advice, or it's like, well, let me think about it. And okay, Mom, you know. But it's just a different time.
It's a different time, and then trying to find that balance of the unsolicited advice.
Yes.
Because we have access to so much information.
Right.
And if you do decide to share, you know, on social media or YouTube or anything, you know, there's always unsolicited advice just from finding out you're pregnant. The whole pregnancy, you know, is like, don't do this while you're pregnant, or, oh, you're doing that. Like, and it's like, I mean, I'm good. It may not have been okay for you, but I'm fine. And maneuvering through that, I think a lot of us, I had to catch my petty because I have a, you know, little nickname, you know, Petty Patty. So I'd have to tuck Petty Patty away, you know, and just be like, okay, you don't have to respond to everything. And just take it as it comes, you know. Your plate may be full, but you don't have to eat everything off of it. True. Take what you need and leave what you don't. And that was one of the biggest things, you know, for me. But getting into the self-care part. So do any of you now even feel like you dedicate time to self-care?
Absolutely not.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like buying bath bombs.
So what is, okay, if you had to define, like, today, like, right now, what would be self-care for you? What you currently do, not what is ideal. What you currently do, what would be self-care?
Finding time to go to the gym, making a protein shake, and I guess I'm like into like face mask and stuff like that. So anything I can do at home that makes me feel pretty. That is what I define as self-care. I mean, usually I'm like, oh, let's go to the spa, let's go shopping, let's do something. It's just, no, scale that back a bit. And do something at home. That works. But I feel like those little things work for me.
I ain't gonna hold you. I'm happy if I can go in my room, close my door, and just lay in the bed. If it's watching TV, I don't have to fall asleep. Yeah, if I'm just in the bed, there's nobody else in there. I can watch TV, snacks, a pint of Haagen-Dazs ice cream, and we good. Yeah. You know,
I'm good with that.
Butter pecan, please.
Yes,
and that is a good time for me. And so I think for me, the self-care got a little bit easier for me when the kids got older, because they didn't need me to do as much for them. But when they were younger, it did not really exist. It was not a thing. It was, and then having 2, once I got through one, there was a second one right back to where I was before. So it just was a constant, they need me, they need me. But now that they're older and they can do things, I remember when I realized that they were old enough to do stuff or just hang out for a while by themselves, I went into my room, I closed the door, and I said, Mommy's taking a time out. And I remember them banging on the door, and they were like, what, Mom, what are you doing? And I was like, Mommy's in time out. Like, what did you do? I was like, I just need 5 minutes, okay? 5 minutes, time out. And they went and they played or whatever, but I just needed that time. Mm-hmm. I was just in there, in my room, just sitting there, laying in the bed watching TV. And I'm not even a TV person like that, but I was watching something.
Yeah.
I guess my self-care, I'll read a book. I'll take a few minutes, read a book. I used to love reading, and now, like, my mind is racing 1,000 different things.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still in school, so... Like, if I have free time, I probably should be studying, or I am studying.
Mm-hmm.
So if I can take time to read a book, right now, school hasn't started back up yet. So I'll sit and read a book till I get tired, and it just feels so good. It just feels like my mind is at ease, and I'm just immersed in something that's not myself. So I'm reading somebody else's story. So, yeah.
And you just finished up the last semester. Didn't you get, like, what was your GPA?
Okay, so I had a 3.4.
Yeah.
Look, hold up.
Yes.
No but. Like,
Right.
no but. I wanted to
Yeah.
talk about that because as a mom, full-time student, and you're working, it's like you don't have time for yourself, especially not with a 1-year-old, and he's about to be 2. So kudos to you.
Yes.
Look,
Thanks.
clap it up because that's a lot. That is a lot. So I can understand.
Yeah.
Like, I couldn't even imagine being in college and being a mom at the same time. I'd have quit, bruh.
Yeah. Listen. Don't tip me. Yeah, I'm taking 17 credits this semester, so yeah, I'm in for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wanted to highlight that because that is important because there are other moms in college and there are women who have got pregnant in college and did stop. And then it's like, I'll go back later, eventually, but you kept going, and that is important. And so just to send that message that just because you get pregnant or you have a responsibility as a mother, don't stop.
Right.
Keep going, do what you set out to do and complete it. So that's very, very important. Gonna get you some more time to read by yourself.
Please. Not textbooks either. But yeah.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite things to do that I consider self-care right now is actually being in the car by myself, like, and driving and having the option to listen to what I want to listen to because we have one car. So we're always in the car together. So if I'm in the car by myself and I can put on Audible and put on an audiobook or turn on my trap music and while out, my trap gospel and while out, I enjoy that because it's like a release, to be able to, release some stress, or if I'm gonna just sit there and listen to a book to do some self-development.
Right.
That is, like, right now one of the things that I thoroughly enjoy, being in the car by myself.
I have seen you many a times.
Look.
Just sitting out in the car.
Yes.
And I'll be like, she all right? Somebody, all right, like, okay, well.
Yes, and it's crazy because the kids, we were in the car yesterday, we pulled up to the house, and MJ was like, can we get out? And I was like, you know what? I just turned around and was like, MJ, this is one of mommy's favorite pastimes. Just relax, like, chill out, like, relax. So that is great. So ideally, if you had everything the way you wanted it, and I wanted to talk about something you said, Sharita, when you were like, when I realized the kids were able to do for themselves. I don't know about y'all too, but that just gave me encouragement.
Oh, yes. Be
because
encouraged.
the first thing that came to my mind was, this too shall pass.
Yes. Be encouraged.
This too shall pass, because everybody said how many kids they have. I have 2 also, a boy and a girl, and 4 and 2 years old. And so that toddler stage, they need you for everything. And so it's like you don't get that chance to breathe. You know, if you don't have that additional help, even if you have that additional help, you know, the kids go through those seasons where it's like, no, I want mommy to do it.
Yes.
Mommy do it. I want
Yes.
mommy to do it. And it's like, y'all know y'all really working me. Like, y'all are working me. But I'm going to do it because, you know, I love you and I don't want you to cry. But that is so important. That was just the main thing that came to my mind was this too shall pass. Like
Because
this.
Christian, he'll be like sitting right next to his dad. Like his dad will be playing the game, and I'm upstairs like trying to get some sleep. And then he'll be like, "Mommy, can you open this for me?" And I'm like, "He
Yes.
was downstairs with
With your
father."
dad.
He's like, "But he's playing the game.
came all
I'm
the
asleep."
Like they feel more comfortable like interrupting what you're doing.
Yeah, but your mommy, like, you're supposed to do that.
That part.
Yes, yes, you're supposed
Aren't you supposed to do that?
I never heard no.
Like, you're the mom.
You to do it.
Yeah. And I'm like, so would you say that you can tell in your kids already if you could, like, determine their love languages? Already?
Christian likes attention. Like he likes affection, and he likes for me to like do stuff with him. And sometimes when I like, hold on, Christian, I'm tired. And he'll just be like, okay. Like he'll get really sad, and then I'm like, okay, let's go have the picnic. Like,
No.
Not yet.
But he's always wants to touch me and grab my face and kiss me. So I guess he's really emotional, like affectionate. If he has a boo-boo or something, like, it's not okay until I notice it. Like, I hurt. He'll say over and over again. He'll just lay there and he just wants me to like console him. So like, I think he likes to be touched and he likes to be held. And he's a big boy. He wants to be held. He's big.
I would say Chris he's a physical touch. He does like to be, you know, hugs and everything like that, but I think it's still developing for him because he was really wanted to be touched, and he always gives like the best hugs. He really means it. But as he gets older, I noticed that there's more of a distance in how often he does it because he's kind of, you know, coming into that boyish stage, and, you know, he needs his space. I notice now that he, like, closes his door and all the time.
Closing doors.
You're not closing any doors in my house. I told Chad last week, I was like, I don't understand why he always has to close the door. And he was like, he's not doing anything. I just told him to clean his room. But why do you have to close the door to clean your room? So he's trying to come into that independence more. And I'm just like, you're my baby. What happened to the hugs and the kisses? And, you know, and now I just have to ask him, you know, for it. And Kayla, she's I don't know what I would call Kayla. She's all over the place. She does like to, you know, have words of affirmation, and then sometimes she does affection. So I think those are her too.
Yeah, see, I think MJ is definitely the physical touch and acts of service. Because I hear it more from him than I do my daughter. Like, no, I want mommy to do it. And he really is affected, you know, if I say no or, you know, go ask daddy. And it's like, he's really, really affected by it. And I'm like, you know what? That acts of service thing, I'm really picking up in him. Peyton, you know, she's like Kayla. She's just all over the place.
Yeah.
If Peyton really wants to be held and, you know, want me to, like, sit there with her, I know she's not feeling good.
Right. Exactly.
Because she's always on the move.
Kayla too.
So I'm still trying to figure it out with her. But with MJ, that acts of service, it's like, oh, like, he really enjoys that when I do something for him. As simple as, you know, making him oatmeal in the morning. It's like, okay, well, daddy's going to make it. I want you to make it. Like, no, I need you to make it. And it's really a big deal, which is very, very interesting. Because I'm fine with you just being around. I like quality time.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just interesting seeing the little people, you know, develop into their own and how much, you know, we do pour into them.
Yeah.
You know, as a mother. and seeing yourself
In them.
in them is very interesting because I have a daughter and I didn't realize how bad my attitude was until I had her. And then when she does something and Marcus is like, she acts just like you. And I'm like, okay, God, help me. Because she's 2, you can discipline them, but it's like she's just acting out that natural.
How much do you understand? Like,
Yes.
yeah, I'm there. It's like, I tell you something, but do you really understand why I'm telling you this?
Yes.
It's like, he's just like, I'm like, no, don't do that. It's dangerous. And he's just like, you're just telling me no, like, for everything, why can't I do anything? And I'm like, no, like, you're going to hurt yourself. So it's like, sometimes it's just, discipline is just not worth it sometimes. I just feel like, okay, it's fine. Just, you don't understand. Like,
Yeah. I was just talking about with my daughter because they're my children are polar opposites. MJ was very calm, cool, collected. I could tell him at 1:30, 2 o'clock, sit still, don't move, watch this.
Right.
Peyton, sit still, don't move, watch this. 2 seconds later, I'm not even out the room yet, and she's up doing something. It's like, Peyton, what did I tell? Did I tell you to get up? No. Why are you up then? I told you to sit down. And then because they're kids, they answer so honestly and straightforward. And it's just like, I don't even know. Like, I really didn't consider reading parenting books until Peyton came along. And it's like, I need some help. No, I really need help, as a mom, because I'm going to go crazy. I just, pray I'm not the only one who feels like they're going to go crazy behind kids.
No, between taking your energy and your sanity, they just draw everything out. So I absolutely understand. And we've talked about this before, where Kayla and Peyton, they have a lot of the same personalities. So I understand. And, we talked about different personality types. And, there was the type of caloric where it was, I call that the mean one. Because, I do call it, because Kayla will say things or she'll do things where it's like, I need to get this done for me. And I don't care what it costs, how it makes you feel, what you have to do, as long as at the end, I get what I'm asking for, or I get what I need. She's very decisive in what she wants, where Chris is indecisive. And, you can tell that just by going to the store, okay, each of you pick out a snack. Kayla's like, I want this one. Chris will stand there and be like, and oh my goodness. And if I let him, he will go for 5 minutes, weighing the pros and cons of all the different options, where Kayla's like, I've already picked it. I'm ready. Let's go. And that's just the difference in trying to parent 2 totally different kids. How do I can't treat you the way that I treat him. You're totally different. What works on him, it's not working on you. What works on you is too much for him, So I have to figure out.
And my mom, there's 4 of us, so I have 2 older sisters. I'm the third, and then we all have a younger brother. And I never got it until, my mom, every time my mom would say, I can't treat you guys the same, or say or do what I can to this one that I can to the other one. And to me, it's like, no, you're being nicer to him.
Yes.
I'm getting this.
Yes.
And I didn't get it until, I had my own kids. And it's like, oh my gosh, that's what she meant.
That's what she meant. And it's that, not that I love them more or less, but because of their personality, how I interact with them is different. Still love you the same. I remember when I got pregnant with Kayla, I was like, I love Chris so much. How am I going to do this with another child? How can I love another one as much as I love Chris? And then Kayla came and was like, I love her so much.
I was actually thinking about that the other night.
It's amazing.
Braxton was asleep, and I was just staring at him, and I'm like, I don't think I can have more kids, because I don't think I would love another one the same.
It's amazing.
And it was overwhelming for me. The further I got my pregnancy with Peyton, that feeling like I'm getting ready to have another baby. How am I going to balance this? I can't imagine loving another little person
Right.
as much as I love my sugar bear. Like, oh, my,
Yes.
like my
Yes.
heart.
Yes.
And I literally, like, it was like a week before I went into labor. I was just like sitting there like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And she's almost here. And oh my gosh, I was just so overwhelmed with that feeling. And then when she got here, it's like, oh my gosh. It's like an
Yes,
ephany, and you
it
can't
is.
even explain it like the way it happens
Yes.
because it does. It just happens. You love them both. And the level, it's a deep love for both of
Yes.
them. You know, and I know a lot of moms struggle with that or
do.
think about that. And for me, it was an overwhelming thought until she actually got here. And it was like, oh,
Yes.
okay, so this is how you
Right.
do it.
This is how you do it. Okay.
But those personalities, you know, those love languages, the personality traits, it plays a very, very vital role. And I think as millennial moms, because we have access to so much information, you know, I think a lot of us in parenting have access and understanding of those things a lot earlier than our parents did.
Right.
You know, so for us, I think we have a whole different dynamic and relationship that we build with our children, you know, earlier by having that information, which I think is great because I just think millennials are the best thing. Yes, we get a bad rap. We get a bad rap, but like we're killing it out here. I'm just saying, like,
We are.
Yeah.
We are.
if you are a millennial mom, like you are just a straight boss because there's so many levels to what we do and our responsibilities, and we're doing great at it. You know, it's not like we're just doing enough to get by. You know, a lot of us are excelling, you know, in multiple areas. And one of the best areas that we're excelling at is motherhood. You know, there's so many mothers, like millennials, we've had kids later, you know, than previous generations. And so we have a lot more understanding of life, and a lot of our goals are already set in stone. And being a millennial, a lot of us are like, I'm not going to give up on my goals. I'm not going to give up on my
Yes.
dreams just because I'm a mother. I can have it all. I can have it all. And I think that is one thing as millennials that we definitely, you know, have a mindset of keep going. Like, I can have it all. It's possible.
No, I literally will sit there and be like, okay, like I'm so tired, but I'm going to die trying to do this tonight. Like I'm not gonna not study. I'm not gonna
Yep.
So I definitely feel that. It's like,
Yeah.
why can't I?
Exactly.
said I
Why
can't?
not? Exactly.
If there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you wake up, grind. Wake up, get the babies up, get dressed, get to work, do everything that you need to do throughout the day. And then by the end of the night, put everybody to bed and you start it all over again the next day. And you
Yep.
just keep grinding. But we also have to keep in mind that self-care because, and that's why we keep bringing it up, because we grind so hard that sometimes something slips. And usually the first thing that does is us.
Yeah.
And I've always said you can't give what you don't have. And so if you're running on empty, trying to, accomplish all these different goals, at some point, it'll all come crashing down. Your body alone might just be like, you know what? And we're going to take a time out today. You're not going anywhere. You're not doing anything. But at that point, you don't want your body to get to that point because then it's really like you can't even prepare for it. Just like, and we're done.
That mental breakdown.
That-
is the
exactly,
best, though.
like, I
I've-
can't-
Yeah.
I've just
I
sat
can't.
there and just like bawled crying.
I
'Cause I'm just
can't.
like, I'm tired.
I'm just so much.
Yes, especially when he was an infant. I remember one time my mom came home and I went outside and I just walked around. I
Yes.
never walked around the
Yes.
neighborhood before. I just needed some
And I'm
time.
out.
I just needed a second. I just walked, just breathed, and I came back. I'm like, okay, I'm ready to keep going. Like I
Yeah.
just need that moment because that mental breakdown I've had a few.
Yeah.
Where I'm just like, I can't do this. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
Go to sleep and wake up. Okay, let's get going. Like,
Here we go.
that was yesterday.
Now we back on it.
Yeah, the mental breakdowns are real
Yes.
when you are. It's like, because it's clockwork. And I know for me, sometimes it's that mindset that if I don't do it, it's not going to get done.
Right.
And I had to intentionally, say, I am going to stop doing that. You know, in certain areas. In certain areas. Put that out there. But stop doing that so that, you know, I don't continue to go, and then I'm
Yes.
turning around and having a mental breakdown.
Yes.
And I got to close myself in the bathroom, lock the door,
Yes.
and bawl my eyes out, get myself together, and then come back out like, okay, let's get dinner ready. Like, you know, it's very serious. So one of the questions that I wanted to ask was, do you have any plans or intentions on trying to put self-care, you know, in a good spot in 2020? How can we be intentional, you know, about self-care in 2020?
I would say just like 30 minutes of just like meditation, like just sitting, being quiet. Like I wanted to just go in my closet, have like a little rug or something. Like it doesn't have to be anything spectacular, but just a space that I know, like when I go to this space, there's nothing happening. There's no phone, just thinking, praying, whatever it is that you need to do, just quiet. Focus on maybe some goals that you need to accomplish. Whatever you need to do, reflect on your day. Like that's something I put down like on my goals. Like just nothing, just doing nothing. If that's what I want to do, just sit there and to do that. That's self-care for me because my mind is constantly racing. Like, what do I need to do? What didn't I do? What do I need to do tomorrow? So
And 30 minutes is really only 2% of our day if you think about it.
Yeah.
So 30 minutes, that's what I had put on my goals for 2020, 30 minutes every single day. Because personal development is a part of my self-care. I put that in the same, you know, pot. And so 30 minutes, if I can dedicate that, you know, I'll be good.
I was reading somewhere where when they were talking about self-care is that it has to be intentional and that it's something that's driven by the specific individual. So, like, we have to set that time out. Just like we would schedule anything else, self-care would have to be something that is intentionally scheduled by us. And I also think that it's important to be present in self-care, if that makes sense, because like you were saying, where your mind is racing, mine too, always thinking about the next thing. And just like you were saying, if I don't do it, then it won't get done. That's all in the back of my mind. Laundry, kitchen clean, like all kind of stuff. Like this still needs to be done. That still needs to be done. So even in that time of self-care, should just be present. Like I'm not thinking about any of that stuff, you know, like it's just me in this time doing whatever it is that makes me feel relaxed and re-energized. I think it's important. So self-care was on my list. It's still on my list for 2020. I've been trying to get it on the weekends, you know.
13th, and I have yet to do it.
You know, it's still a work in progress, you know. It's not one of those, you know, start January 1st. But, you know, it's on the vision board. You know, I see it every day. So it's like, okay, self-care is on here. And what I've done with my vision board is like every day I want to do something towards the goals that I have. So I put this really big in my room. The first time I've ever done this, where every day I'm like, okay, what is on here that I can do today? And so I'm still trying to get there, but it's a start. Their intention is there.
I find myself now like making a to-do list, which is like something I've always have done like mentally, but now like I guess so much is going on and like I forget stuff, so I literally make a list just to scratch it off. Like I did that. So and I put some time like, and I have like time frames, so I have to work from this time to this time. Got to do Christian's bath, dinner, all this time, and then there's a certain block down there. It's like nothing. Doing anything. And I just like, and then hopefully, I mean, sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. I mean, it just all depends. But for the times where it does work out, I just find myself just going into a room by myself and like, what do I want to do? Do I want to watch TV? Do I just want to go to sleep? Do I want to do like something besides what everybody else needs me to do? So that's like my start of self-care.
Yeah, it is because it's intentional and you have to force yourself to do it because it's like you said, Sharita, like being present in that moment, because you can set out your time, block your time, which I that's my problem. I block it out, and then I'm actually not doing what I need to do because my mind is already on what's coming next.
Yes.
Like what I have to do after this time is up.
Right.
So you rob yourself
Of
of that true moment, of that time that you know, are giving to yourself, that you're, you know, gifted. Look, because it's a gift. And it's something as simple. I was in the car putting on an audiobook on my way here and missed like a whole minute because I was already thinking
Yes.
about getting
Yes.
here,
Yeah.
you know, and what I have to do when I get here. And I was like, really?
rewind.
Okay, let me rewind it and let me actually listen, you know, and sit here and do what I said I was going to do. So that was really good because there's been so many moments, you know, where we do rob ourselves of not being present. And that carries over into, you know, being a mother, being a wife, you know, being a friend, whatever you're going to dedicate your time to, be present in that time. I think we would feel a lot more accomplished with our to-do list, you know, with our goals if we were actually present with the time that we allotted, you know, to those things. And that was something that I allotted to my goals was, you know, set your goals and actually be present for those goals because you miss out on so much and then you get to the end of the day and it's like, did I actually complete it? Like,
I have like a lot of feelings of guilt when I have my, you know, personal time. I'm like, oh, should I really be spending time on myself? I could be folding clothes. I could be doing lunch for tomorrow. I could be doing so many things. So like, I'm just trying to figure out how not to feel guilty about spending time with myself.
girl, you may not ever get over it.
I feel so guilty.
I think it's important for us to like try to alleviate the pressure on ourselves. Like,
True.
I get to the point where it's like, if this laundry doesn't get folded today,
Listen.
or tomorrow, or the next day,
Listen.
Look, that's good. That is good.
it's gonna be okay.
Yes. What's
Just
gonna
dig through the
happen,
basket and
right?
find what you need.
It's
clean.
It's clean.
And because I always wanted to like, I like my goal, like Sundays used to be like, I need to make sure everything's done for my week to be right, you know, and like clothes got to be folded and put away, and then something would happen where I would do something else, and I just didn't get to it, or I just didn't have things organized the way I wanted it for the week. And then I just got to the point where, and I'd be like, oh man, this is going to be a bad week. Like, this is like, everything is going to get thrown off like that. And then I just woke up like, you know what, screw it.
Still got clothes.
Yeah, I want to keep moving on. You know?
They're clean. Pull the iron out.
Right, they're clean.
Yeah, right.
Just find what you need, like I said. You know? It'll get done eventually. But I just feel like if we take the pressure off of ourselves, like everything doesn't have to be done in that moment. Like take care of the important stuff. Like make sure your child is good. But like other stuff, just make sure like you prioritize and don't put pressure on yourself. I think you'll feel a lot better. And I think it'll help with like the emotional stress, because I would find myself like getting frustrated, like why am I so upset?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Like I just need a moment, like just take the pressure off.
It's frustration. It can lead to resentment,
Yes.
especially if the other person,
Yeah,
or
pick
the
up
other
your
half,
clothes.
right? You know,
I don't know why he can make no dishes.
It's like you know, being with Chad and stuff. Like I got to the point where I felt like Kevin Hart, like help me, you know? Help me. Like you see all this stuff, and he like let's talk about self-care for men, okay? Because he doesn't have a problem coming home, sitting down,
playing the game
all
all night
you know
long.
What I'm saying? And that's just what we do. And I'm sitting here like,
Did you feed the child? Did you?
have you seen the child? Like, what is going on?
Like he
What is
ate. What did he eat?
going on?
Cheez-Its. That's not eating.
And like he would frustrate me because I would be like, can you help me? And he was like, what do you want me to do? Like, do you see?
There's so much. There's so much. There's so much.
I said, pick something. You can start in any room.
Right, oblivious.
I used to, Bo would come and be like, oh, it's your turn to change the diaper. I've been changing diapers all day. Ain't no turn. You have to right on top of that. Yeah. I just changed his diaper, and I've been changing 10 diapers all day. Like,
If he needs to be
you
changed,
go ahead. Like, you're here. There's no turns anymore. Once you arrive,
Look,
it's you.
That's all you, buddy.
It's all you.
All you.
But I think that builds up with our frustration is that we have in our mind the way things should be. And because it's so much, we feel like, well, it's not just me. So, like, you can help me. Yeah. But they don't have the same, vision of what things should be.
Yeah.
So it's like, you should think the way that I'm thinking so that we could do this together.
Yeah.
But it's not always
communication is real.
It's not always apparent.
It's really real because granted, you do have to have somebody who is willing, to learn and change.
Right.
Because I know a lot of frustration can build up if you don't have somebody that is, willing to work with you.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I see clothes over here, I see toys over here. This needs to be done. This is coming up. Like,
Yeah.
I need you to get up. Like, come on, get up. I'm getting ready to get up and get moving. You should be right behind me, buddy. Come on, let's do this together.
Right.
Let's bust it out.
But that, yeah.
And we feel like, I know for me, I can't speak for everybody. I know for me, I feel like if you see the same things I'm seeing, I shouldn't have to come out of my mouth and say
That's what it is.
and that is where we shoot ourselves in the
Yes.
foot. Because if you think about it, go into the Word of God. When God first created the earth and he first created man, he created just Adam. And God was up in the heavenlies, chilling, looking down, looking at his creation like, yeah, this is good. And then he actually got sight on Adam and was like, wait, it's not good for man to be alone. What was Adam doing? Probably what one of our other significant others was doing. It's like, he needed help me.
Good. I like that.
He needed help me. And so when I got that revelation and was like, okay, God, we have to communicate
Yes,
and
we
learn
do.
how to communicate with each other because they don't see the same things that we see as women. I don't understand why God would create us so differently and then expect us to get along so well. But, we got what we got. We got to make it work. And we do. But that builds a lot of frustration, and that resentment can set in. And so it's like, we got to fix this.
Yeah.
Because that pressure is real and you feel like you're failing as a mom. You feel like, because other areas with me, it feels like other areas start to slip. So it's like, and then you start analyzing everything and looking over everything. And then that's where those breakdowns come from. And it's like, I'm failing at everything. Like, I am failing at life. Like, what is really going right? But I think it's important, to have that village, and to have other people, friends that you can call on and talk to.
Right.
Because you're not going through it alone.
Absolutely.
And you're not the only one. I think one of the most realizations, that I had, Sharita and I were talking one time, and we didn't even have Peyton yet. I just had MJ. And we were talking, I was just like, oh my gosh, like, he doesn't do this. And it's like, he doesn't see it. And she's like, Chad was the same way.
Yeah.
Like, you have to communicate.
Yeah.
Like, you have to communicate because we just don't see the same things. And she was telling me things, and it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I'm not by myself.
But I think they're also struggling, like, millennial fathers, because their fathers probably didn't do much in raising them.
At
Yes.
all.
So
That's
now
true.
these women,
That's true.
us, we're not having it.
Yeah. Exactly.
So they're like, hold on, my
What she
dad.
said.
'Cause I remember,
What you said.
I remember Bo's father commended him, was like, yeah, like, I don't think I ever changed one of your diapers. And I see you changing.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, yeah, that's not happening around here.
Yeah.
I didn't know.
Yep.
So I think they're struggling too. Like, hold on.
Right.
Yep.
It's a new age. These women are
Yes.
not. They're not about to sit there and clean the house. Like, if you're living here, you're going to clean it too.
Yep.
So I think they're
That's-
struggling a little bit.
That's a very good point because you also have to think if their father wasn't there.
True.
If they come from a single parent household, they didn't have that. So that's another dynamic to take into play. And that's what men go through postpartum depression too.
Yeah.
And I did not know that. And I was like, wow, it makes so much sense. Like, yes, our hormones and things are getting back in balance after, the physical part of it. But for men, they're not as vocal, emotionally. So for them, it can be harder to deal with the changes of having, a brand new little baby, and, being a father and then still having their everyday activities too, so just being aware and cognizant of that everybody is going through changes, and that is like for millennial moms and millennial dads, they really are struggling. Because that was one of the things I said to Marcus a lot. Look, bro, we get up at the same time. We walk out the door at the same time every day. Yeah. I'm at work at the same hours that you are at work. If I can do this when we get home, you can too. Like, and it's as simple as that, So I think that is, a very different dynamic that we're all learning from.
Yes.
But it's a learning curve, and I can't even imagine what it's going to be like when our kids,
I know.
Like our kids they've never known life without a touch screen.
True. Yeah. True. They don't know.
Be scrolling.
Yes.
Our text messages.
Ignoring calls.
Ignoring calls.
My
My
gosh.
manager calling me.
Ignoring
They're
the
like,
calls,
nope, don't
the
need that.
texts.
Yeah.
Marcus called me yesterday and was like, Peyton had the phone, didn't she? I said, yep. He was like, yeah, 'cause she picked up, kept hanging up. I didn't want nobody but Peyton.
Yeah, that was like when Kayla came, she had to be like 3. She was at the TV trying to scroll up the TV. No, baby, it's not a tablet, but she was trying to press the buttons.
Yes.
And like commercials, they don't do commercials. They don't know about that life. So when we're watching cable, they're like, what is this? When is the show coming back on? Like,
MJ says, when is it coming back on? And Peyton, it's done. Mommy, it's done. And I'm like, no, it's coming back. It's just it's a break. And then it'll be back. What is this?
yeah,
Like,
what are we doing?
They just press skip ad.
Yes,
Skip ad.
They can't read, but they know when that thing comes up, skip.
no, play, pause, skip ad, and ignore.
Yes.
Mom, where's the X?
Yes, it is so crazy. But after all is said and done, trying to get more, self-care, trying to get more time to yourself, motherhood is one of the greatest blessings, in the world. There's nothing I would trade for motherhood. It is the most beautiful thing. Like, for example, last night I was trying to put the kids to sleep. Granted, they would not go to sleep. But Peyton's excuse to continue to stay up was she kept giving me kisses. Mm-hmm. And it's just like, I can't get angry because, this is the sweetest love, I have ever endured in my life. Yes. And if she comes and give me a kiss, then MJ is coming and is like, let me give you a kiss, because they get into this little competition thing. And it is just so cute. But still understanding that I'm at my best as a mother. I can give you the best, because they don't really care about all this stuff. They just want you there. They just want you to play with them and be present. And in order for me to be my best and be present is when I get that self-care. So being intentional, going forward with getting that self-care, taking care of ourselves first so we can fill our own cups up in order to have something to pour out and give.
Right. Yes.
You have something you want to say? You look like
it. Definitely, I felt that.
So did anybody else have any other comments or takeaways from, millennial motherhood and self-care?
That it's possible.
Yeah.
For me, I think I'm like, if balance is not possible. In my mind, I'm like, if I'm doing good at this, something else is slipping. There's no way. So it's just like, it is possible. You just have to set aside that time and make it work.
Yep.
It can't be a maybe. It has to be something that is a part of your day.
Yep. And non-negotiable.
Yeah. Yep. And that we're all in this together. You may feel alone in some of the things that you're going through, but just know that there are other moms out there that feel the same way, have gone through the same things. And, just like we communicate with our significant others, we can talk to each other, on a different level, because we really understand how it feels, like what's going on and what worked for you. Maybe I can try that too. to kind of get through it. But like Patience said, we out here killing it, and you know our babies love us, and you can see that in them. You know, of all the things that we want to do and accomplish for them, they just want us present, and you know the kisses and like. Every single day, Kayla gives me some card that says, I love you to the moon and back, and she draws a picture of us. When I tell you every day, every single one of them. I picked her up from school today. She runs to me with today's picture, and it's me and her with those words at the top. And just know that even in trying your best, your kids see it. As long as you're there for them, for whatever they need, and they know they can come to you and that there's love there, that's all that they're really asking for.
Yeah.
That's all that they really need. So the laundry can wait.
Look, Daneca's like, no, I'm serious.
No, I just think that, you know, motherhood is like nothing I've ever experienced. Like nothing compares to it, you know, and just receiving that love back in me. And you said Kayla brings you like the card and the kisses. Like I can be having my worst day and I'll pick Christian up and he'll be like, Mommy, I love you. How was your day? And I'm just like, you care about me? Yes. I've seen it in my face. I know. Just like somebody cares about my day. And then he'll just give me kisses and then he'll feed me stuff and I'm just like, oh, you know, it's just that different love. Like, oh, you need me.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
So like with all the headaches, with all the frustrations, like once you really take into effect of the self-care, it's like rejuvenizes you and you can do it again. Like this is worth it. Like I wouldn't give this up for anything. I can get frustrated. I can be wanting to pull my hair out, but this is all worth it.
Yes.
And it's weird, but
Look, we get it.
We get it.
All right. So thank you guys for tuning in and listening to this conversation. If you have any comments or things that you do for self-care, leave them in the comments below. And also feel free to check out this video of the conversation. It'll be up on Sunday. All right, guys. Have a good one.
Bye.